I feel like I'm moving even further away from this show. I'm so confused. Just like the last episode, this episode is named after some stupid reference that comes at the very end. There's also more forced attempts to make me feel any human emotion. So following episode 2, we've established Kirito has gone from a loner solo player to a cocky loner solo player who's also a douchebag. We met Asuna, who for some reason has very special hair. She knows how to slay monsters good, but doesn't read good. She's gone from this episode, but guess what? Klein is back. I'm so excited. This episode opens at some inn, where this guild is toasting themselves. They're called the Moonlit Black Cats, which just sounds like they used one of those password generators that generates a few random words, so you can remember it easier. They also toast Kirito, who apparently saved their lives off screen. I notice we hear a lot about what a great, knowledgeable player Kirito is, but I don't see a lot of it. So one of the guildies, Keita, asks Kirito what level he is. Kirito lies and says 20, but we see his level is really 40. I'm not exactly sure why he's keeping his level from them, but I have a feeling it's because the selfish prick doesn't want them bothering him for even more help. Keita invites Kirito to the guild, and then he introduces him to Sachi, this episode's resident dopey female. And Keita really wants this lady dead. He keeps trying to put her on the front lines where she'll be the first to die. And here we have another awkward interaction between two characters' dialogue. Keita asks Kirito if he could coach Sachi on being a frontline fighter, to which Sachi objects.
Oh, come on. I'm not that useless.
And then in the same breath pretty much says she needs someone to help her.
Seriously, you can't just put me up front and expect me to know what to do.
Well, are you useless or not? So Kirito agrees to join the guild. Perhaps because he knows if he doesn't, these calculating bastards are going to get Sachi killed. There are a lot of big time skips in this episode. 4 months have passed since episode 2. After the needlessly long anime intro, another month has passed. I find all these time skips really confusing. It just plays out like it takes place over a period of a few days. We see Kirito fighting a giant mantis with his guild. They're now on floor 20, so I guess there's a lot of shit we're just not going to see happen in this show. Afterwards, Keita talks about the assault team reaching floor 28, who I think is supposed to be a different guild. I guess they didn't have enough creative drunks in the guild to come up with a name for them like Moonlit Black Cats. He asks what they have that his guild doesn't, and Kirito tells him that the assault team has access to information on where to go to level further, and they don't share that information with anyone. Keita, however, was not listening to any of that, because he just goes on saying,
"They have the will to stick up for their friends, or any player for that matter."
Which completely contradicts what Kirito just said about them. The game interface shows us Kirito is now level 48, which I think is supposed to signify he still hasn't told anybody his true level. I can't for the life of me figure out why he would continue keeping his knowledge from his guild after spending an entire month with them. That night, the guild is talking about buying a house, but propose instead upgrading Sachi's equipment, just to make her feel guilty for still being alive and getting in the way of their real estate venture. They pressure her some more into changing jobs.
Sachi, I know switching jobs isn't easy, but seriously, you're almost there.
Wait a second. Didn't we find out last episode there wasn't a job system in this game?
Dude, there's no job system in this game.
You guys want to hear this or not?
Why can't any of these other f***ers strap on a sword and shield and do it? Why did they need her to tank for the group so badly? Then suddenly it's a week later and Kirito is 8 floors higher than he was before, and I have no f***ing clue what this show is even doing. He's just standing in some room somewhere and then he walks outside. And who does he run into but Klein? He's fighting monsters with his buddies.
I thought that thing was a mid-level boss.
Kirito barely says anything to Klein and just walks past him. I'm not sure where exactly he's going, but he's apparently got a bug up his ass about something, because Klein says,
Oh, come on. Is it still bugging you?
it would be nice if they clued in the viewers on what was going on between these two. And then that scene is over and Kirito teleports back into town. I'm puzzled why they had a scene where he walks outside and leaves town, only to have him portal right back into town a moment later. Anyway, so he gets an email from Keita that Sachi disappeared. So he activates his Sachi's footstep detection vision, which I guess is a thing now. Kirito follows the footsteps into what appears to be a sewer. As soon as Kirito finds Sachi, she immediately suggests they run away together and commit suicide.
Are you talking about suicide?
But then she's like,
Just kidding. Kind of.
Kirito reassures Sachi that she's not going to die in this game and they aren't going to need her on the front line. Okay, why don't we tell Keita that? Because I'm pretty sure the guy's out for blood. This pleases Sachi, and we can tell because they zoom right in on her huge chin to animate a single teardrop rolling down her face. This is the kind of garbage the animators focus on. When there's an action scene or a big fight, they cut every corner they can though. So we cut to the next scene where Kirito is now in his pajamas, and Sachi comes into his room, smiles, and tells him she can't get to sleep.
I'm sorry. I can't seem to get to sleep.
No, this is a Christian cartoon. Sachi shares a bed with Kirito and he assures her again that she's not gonna die. Then he promises to himself to protect everybody in the guild. Then he makes a fist in the air, probably to pump some blood out of his growing erection. This promise Kirito makes pretty much assured me everybody would be dead by the end of the episode. And why do we need 2 back-to-back scenes of Kirito reassuring Sachi? These episodes are short enough as it is. The next day, Keita leaves to go purchase the guild their own house using his teleport spell. Hold on, we can use magic now? They explained to us in the first episode that there's no magic in the game, so how is Keita using a teleport spell? Maybe he just gets to use a little bit of magic. The rest of the guild wants to go hunt on a higher floor while Keita's gone, and Kirito says,
We should stick to our usual hunting spots.
"No, it's important that we remember this line for later, because the writers did not." And then one of them says something to Kirito that pretty much seals their fate.
Yeah, and at our levels, we don't have anything to worry about.
You want to make God laugh? Tell him your plans, right?
This episode pretty much sets itself up to have a bunch of people die in front of Kirito, just to make him feel sorry for himself. So the guild goes to a dungeon all the way up on floor 27, and we see the date has changed again because it's now June 12th. So either it takes Keita a month to buy a house, and a month for these morons to get to the dungeon, or the animators put the date in the wrong scene. The team runs into a secret room even though Kirito warns them not to, and they open a suspicious looking treasure chest sitting right in the middle, thus triggering the room's Darwin's Law trap. Several monsters appear and proceed to slaughter everyone except Kirito. One guy screams out in agony as they drive weapons into his back.
Oh, come on, seriously? You can't feel any pain.
Sachi is struck in the back so hard her eyes disappear entirely. As she's falling to her death, Sachi mumbles an entire f***ing sentence to Kirito. We never hear what Sachi says, but I'm more curious how she's able to float in real time like that, just long enough to get one last thought out before exploding. And then the episode cuts immediately to Kirito on floor 49 a half a year later. What? What happened to the rest of the show? Oh, whatever. So it's Christmas Eve again, and Kirito's talking to an information broker about a new seasonal quest coming out tonight. The boss's name is Nicholas the Renegade, and he's going to appear
Under a fir tree somewhere.
so literally any fir tree anywhere. Conveniently, Kirito knows where this specific tree is. We don't know how, but all we know is he heard a rumor that this boss drops an item that will revive a dead player. But the broker just said this event is new to the game, and was never in the beta test. So how would anybody know that he drops that? Kirito says he plans on fighting the boss alone, just so he'll probably die. So the item the boss drops didn't really matter anyway, since Kirito's kind of embracing his end at this point. And then we get a really weird, out-of-place flashback, where Keita just jumps to his death. I had almost forgotten about him. Apparently when he found out his high school buddies died, he ended his life right then and there. No dialogue from either of them, they just wanted to get this shit the f*** over with. Why didn't they give us an entire scene of this before zooming us straight to Christmas Eve? We got 2 entire scenes of Sachi smiling and blushing at Kirito, but Keita's inability to come to terms with the loss of his friends gets a silent 3 seconds. Keita deserved a little more screen time to process the news before just abruptly throwing throwing his suicide in our faces in the middle of a completely unrelated scene. So Kirito is still blaming himself for the guild's death. He claims it was his own arrogance in keeping his true level a secret. This is beyond idiotic. Remember, Kirito told the guild they should stay hunting in places they were familiar with. He shouted a warning to them when they went barrel-assing into an unknown room to open a treasure chest. He was trying to protect them the whole time. Now, I'm still not sure why he kept his level from them, but I'm pretty sure if they knew his real level, they would have probably wanted to go to an even higher floor. They just wanted Kirito to have something traumatic to blame himself over, to add some more drama to the story, without even giving a single thought as to how any of it would make any sense. So Kirito goes out into the woods, following some map that we're never told about. He says he has to beat Nicholas so he can revive Sachi. He just said he was going to confront Nicholas alone so he could die. Now he's saying he wants to get the revival item so he can revive Sachi and find out what she was trying to say to him right before she died. If he really did manage to revive her, would it really matter at that point what she said to him before she died? Suddenly, Klein and his crew show up out of nowhere. He pleads for Kirito to stop being reckless and join them. Suddenly, a bunch of badass motherfuckers appear.
It's the Holy Dragon Alliance.
They'll do anything for a rare item, no matter how shady.
What does that even mean? What is Shady Belle participating in a time-limited seasonal quest? Everybody has the right to fight this boss. Why don't they all just tackle it together, or wait for it to respawn and take turns? So Klein and his band of merry men say they'll hold them off, and Kirito goes after Nicholas. And that's it. We never see the fight with Nicholas, or Klein managing to hold off an army. We don't know what happened to the Holy Dragon motherfuckers. Did Klein and his crew manage to kill all of them? Can you even kill players in this game? I have so many questions. The animators just didn't feel like animating any of this shit. So Kirito gives the revival item to Klein. As it turns out, the item is real, but it only works within 10 seconds of somebody dying. So Klein starts crying like a woman, and he shouts at Kirito to stay alive. I'm still not sure why Klein is so attached to Kirito, to the point of ugly crying at him. They met on his first day playing and never saw each other again. The episode closes with Kirito receiving a message from Sachi. I guess after spending the night with him, Sachi decided to start writing her Christmas cards early. Maybe she thought Keita was on her tail or something. What I want to know is, why does she push her message to Kirito off until Christmas? Why not a week later, or a month later? What if Kirito died before then? Then Sachi tells Kirito she's going to sing him a song, but she doesn't sing him a song. Instead, the lazy bitch starts humming the tune to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. That's not singing, that's humming. The very last message Kirito ever gets to hear from you, and you phone it in. So she says, thank you, goodbye, and they make it look like those were her final words she had for Kirito before she died. So I guess that's supposed to give him closure or something. This episode didn't waste as much time as the last episode did, but it still wasted time. It felt bogged down by all the different periods of time it had to cover. They shoved almost an entire year of story into one 20-minute episode, and they gave us an over-emotional highlight reel as a result. They put Klein in the episode just to cry over Kirito and force some generic, inexplicable tension in between the two of them. The episode attempted to tug at my heartstrings in the most half-assed way possible, and I don't appreciate it. Anyway, that's about all for today. I'm curious to see which characters will come out of the woodwork next episode, and whether the show will throw some more red shirts at Kirito to watch die. Thanks for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and maybe leave me a comment and tell me that everything's going to be okay.